Today was info bomb of epic proportions for Red Dead Redemption 2. So many articles were posted today. GameSpot, IGN, Games Radar, it's The Verge, Polygon. Let's see, I think VG247 as well. There's just a ton of information today. A ton. And I don't feel like making a whole bunch of videos. As most of you know, I prefer trying to consolidate everything into one video. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the screenshots. So hopefully all the screenshots, or most of the screenshots, and this article from IGN, 79 amazing details in Red Dead Redemption 2. I think it covers everything that I read over. I read over several articles, by the way. It took me a while to process all this. But we're going to start off with the screenshots, then we'll move on to the 79 details. By the way, both these articles are from IGN. And like I said, there's other articles out there as well from VG247, Verge, Polygon, GameSpot. The list goes on and on. There's like several Italian ones too. Yeah, overwhelming is the word today. So let's start things off with this really cool cemetery shot. Obviously, it's either a grave or a cemetery down in La Grosse in the bayou with Arthur, and it's either early in the morning or evening. I'm going to say it's early in the morning because Arthur obviously has a lantern, and it's obviously La Grosse because you look at the background, it looks very swampy. So cemetery or graveyard down in La Grosse. This is a really sweet image. You got this lone tree, hills. I don't know where this is. This could be West Elizabeth. It looks kind of like West Elizabeth. Still a really cool shot. You see the sun kind of piercing like behind Arthur as he's standing on his horse. Well, sitting on his horse with his rifle drawn. Awesome imagery right here. Then you have Micah Bell. This is at night in the Grizzlies. You see how bundled he is. You also probably can see the snow in the background coming down. And that looks like a really cool shot. The lighting, the detail, the clothing, the hair on the horse looks epic. And I love this screenshot right here. Dutch and his gang. Now, I don't know where they are. Maybe they're in the Heartlands, but I'm just trying to go by the information that we know so far regarding the various states, towns, regions. So you got Bill Williamson, along with a lot of his gang members. You got Arthur and Sadie, and then you got Uncle on the left side. To the right side, you have Micah. You have Bill Williamson in the far back. Then, of course, a younger John Marston, along with Javier Escuela, and, of course, Pearson the cook. There's just something about this where he's just like, hey, how's it going? Good morning. What the fuck do you guys want? Or what do you want? And these guys are like standing around like, yeah, you gonna fuck with us? Huh? I don't think so. Next, a really cool screenshots in the Grizzlies, most likely the snowy region of the map, with Javier Escuela. He's having a cancer stick break. And you can tell how cold it is because of the coolness of the air coming out. You can see, if you look real close to the detail, it's just amazing the effort Rockstar's put into this game. And the clothing, like the poncho. I mean, look at the fabric on the poncho, on his jacket, on his hat. Absolutely amazing. And this is a really cool screenshot of Sadie and Arthur in the woods. Maybe the Heartlands, maybe West Elizabeth. And the detail here, once again, I mean, that's another good word for a lot of the screenshots. The detail. From Arthur's jacket, to his shirt, to his hat, to Sadie's gun, the wear and tear on the gun. It just looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. Plus the lighting and a lot of these screenshots, just absolutely beautiful. And this is a really cool one. The gang obviously going for a little night stroll. You got Dutch in the front. Looks like maybe right behind him Bill Williamson, along with Javier Escuela, Lenny, and then in the back you have Arthur Morgan. So either they're on the move or they're off to some sort of mission, gonna go commit some sort of act of felony and criminality, most likely. I like this screenshot of Dutch. This looks so laid back and chill. The boss just hanging out somewhere in the woods, in the middle of nowhere, most likely, maybe by a log cabin Might be a log cabin behind him. But the detail of his clothing, because he likes to wear the nicer things in life, you can like look at how that changes, like from the clothing that Arthur wears to the clothing that Dutch likes to wear. Like the fabrics look a lot more expensive, luxurious. Very fitting for a man of Dutch's caliber. Now the detail in this shot regarding Dutch, because it's obviously Dutch once again, his hand, his rings, his pistol, well, one of his pistols, the beautiful engraving. And you have, I believe, to his right, Hosea. And it looks like that they're intimidating this woman, probably asking her where some money is, or some jewels, or information. It looks like a very intimidating scene. Now this is an interesting shot here of Charles Smith with his bow and arrow. Not only with his bow and arrow, but he also has a bandana over his face, indicating that he's most likely not hunting for deer or elk. My guess is he's out there hunting somebody in particular, and whenever you go into committing a crime or a robbery or a kill, usually you see Arthur, Micah, and the others, including Charles here, with a bandana over their face in order to disguise themselves somewhat. So I don't think he's trying to disguise himself from a turkey. Prime example of what I was talking about. Most of you get this by now. The fact that Arthur's coming in dual wielding with one of his revolvers already drawn, looking intimidating with a bandana over his face, committing an act of crime in order to do so, in order to hopefully not be, detected or revealed by anyone else. He has the bandana over his face. So very similar to why Charles had a bandana over his face, even though he was using a bow and arrow, maybe doing an assassination mission or a silent kill, maybe on an enemy gang hideout or something. You have Arthur coming in about to commit some sort of withdrawal. This is a pretty cool screenshot of Arthur. Appears to be having just a random conversation with an NPC. I don't think that's a member of Dutch's gang. If it is, maybe he's a lesser known member that we don't know about yet, but the detail, once again, absolutely beautiful. You got power lines or telegraph lines running in the background. You have stagecoach going. Maybe what the deal is, maybe the gang is moving from one location of the map to another location, and Arthur just happens to come across this guy, and they're just having this conversation. Maybe he's giving him a bit of information. It does reveal, once again, the dynamics of how the game is going to work, where you're going to be able to interact with the NPCs, greet them, antagonize them, and then it's going to allow you to go in different directions when it comes to how that conversation might get resolved one way or the other. The location of this screenshot seems pretty obvious, I think. Ansburg, and you have Arthur doing his thing on a train. I don't know if the train's already moving or is he running towards the water tower to get into position, because if you look at all the weaponry on Arthur, it looks like he's ready to go into battle. He's carrying 2 firearms on his back. He has his knife. He has at least 1 pistol. It just looks like something is about to go down and Arthur's trying to get himself into position. Now this screenshot could very well also be up in Ansburg, because once again you see several firearms on Arthur's back. And then you have Sadie with him, along with perhaps another member of Dutch's gang, or somebody that they just happen to be helping, or someone that's assisting them. We don't know who this character is in the background, at least as far as I know. I don't think it's Shane or Sean or whatever his name is. But clearly Arthur is using a Maxim gun in this firefight, and that's probably going to be a lot of fun to use. This is a really cool interior shot of a saloon. Arthur's walking down the steps. Maybe he was upstairs with one of these ladies having a good time. And of course to the right, down there you have guys playing poker, hanging out, drinking, just relaxing after a long day. And you've got a bartender over there, so you can go get a beverage if you want. Or you can go back upstairs to maybe visit with one of the ladies of the saloon. I'm guessing Arthur isn't going to have the same issue that John had in Red Dead Redemption, where he's always like, no, I'm happily married. I don't think that's going to be the case for Arthur. It's also possible, as I mentioned a while back in the posters video, when we went over those posters that Rockstar was tweeting out all day from the members of Dutch's gang, that there could very well be some romance that Arthur could get involved with, maybe with one of these two. Tilly to the left and Molly to the right, even though we already know that Molly is involved with Dutch. doesn't necessarily mean that that's a sure thing, and you could very well have the option of having a little fun, behind Dutch's back with Molly. Maybe, maybe not, but it does seem like there's some sort of bond between Tilly and Arthur from the gameplay trailer a month or so back, and maybe one day we'll get another gameplay trailer. This is a really cool laid-back shot of some of the members of the gang just hanging out around the campfire, relaxing, enjoying the fire and the night. So you got Lenny sitting over there to the left. I think that's Sean sitting down on the ground. I think standing up is perhaps John Marston. I think it's either John standing or John sitting over there by Pearson. So I think one of them is John. Maybe the other one's Mika. Or I could be wrong. One of them could actually be Charles. It's kind of hard to tell from this far back. But you got Pearson, and he's playing an instrument, and over there sitting right beside Pearson, you have Arthur, probably having a lovely conversation, having a drink, reflecting on a day's hard work. I love the detail of everything in this game. From the background to the trees, the grass, the lighting, how realistic the horses look, to the clothing that Arthur's wearing, the wear and tear. It's just absolutely stunning, and I really can't wait to see this game when it comes out in almost a month from now. From this scene, it doesn't look like Bill Williamson is very happy, and maybe him and Micah Bell are up to something, most likely, who knows. But in the distance, you have what appears to be Sadie hanging out at a camp in the forest somewhere, most likely hiding from law enforcement and planning their next criminal activities. What happens when Arthur and John Marston go for a stroll in the woods? Bad things. I don't know if Arthur has actually killed this guy because you don't see any blood coming out of the guy, and the shot of the pistol appears to be like obviously not hitting him. So maybe the guy's stunned, falling backwards. And clearly in the background, John Marston has yet to kill the NPC he has his hands on. Apparently the NPC actually has his hands up surrendering. So maybe they were robbing these two, or maybe these two were trying to rob them, and Arthur and John managed to turn the tables on them. Another one of the interesting scenarios that we look forward to checking out coming up in late October. I love the lighting here once again. The sun clearly reflecting the horse, and I believe that's Arthur Morgan. Now what's interesting is if you look real closely, it appears that Arthur could be sporting facial hair. It's difficult to tell, but if you look through the lighting, it looks like he may, be not as clean shaving in this screenshot as we've seen him in most of the other ones, but still a really cool shot with the sun coming through in the background. This could easily be one of my favorite screenshots of these new ones that we got from Rockstar and IGN. Arthur hanging out near the mountains, maybe up in the Heartlands near Valentine, perhaps, and overlooking this farm down below. This obviously a really nice ranch or farm, and probably some cattle down there, and you got some wagons going, traveling. You see all these dirt roads, and you got birds in the sky. Of course, in the distance, you have mountains, and you have this storm rolling in, these clouds with the sun piercing through. A very majestic shot indeed. Now, this is perhaps one of the more intimidating images I've seen so far of Arthur Morgan, and there's been quite a few. You have Arthur all bundled up, most likely in the Grizzlies region. He's got his bandana over his face, he's got a knife drawn, he's got gloves on, and he's got some blood splattered on the knife and on his jacket. So he's probably either just killed an animal or another person for reasons, right? The gang appears to be getting into a bit of a firefight in a cemetery. I don't know if this is the same graveyard that Arthur was at earlier down in Lemoyne in the bayou. It could very well be, even though the trees in the background do look a little different. In the front, obviously, you have Micah, you have Arthur, and it appears in the back to be Javier and Bill. So obviously they're getting in a fight with another group, two factions fighting it out in a cemetery, because you can tell by the tombstones that are in front of them that they're most likely using for covering fire. And there's also this screenshot that GameSpot posted via Twitter Arthur dual wielding, pointing his guns at somebody clearly on the ground, looking down upon them. In the background, you got the signs of Saint Denis, La Grosse, Van Horn, a town we have yet to hear about or see, and Rhodes. All this is in the state of Lemoyne, by the way. Okay, so now let's move on over to the IGN 79 amazing details in Red Dead Redemption 2. By the way, I do apologize that this is a long video, but there's obviously a lot of information that came out today, and I don't like making multiple videos. If I can avoid it, I'll put everything into one video. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the video so far. And if you want me to continue to cover Red Dead Redemption 2, be sure and hit the like button, as well as subscribe to the channel. Okay, so this is from IGN. Article linked below in the description section. 79 amazing little details in Red Dead Redemption 2. And for the most part, I think this covers just about everything that dropped from all the articles, I believe. I could be wrong. If something's missed that didn't go over, feel free and leave it below in the comments section. Okay, so let's get started. Number 1, Arthur's facial hair grows in the game's real time, and his options when styling it depend on how long it's gotten, like facial hair in real life. So we already know that Arthur is going to be able to grow a beard and grow his hair out, and it'll be entirely up to you as to whether or not you want to actually make him remain clean shaving with short hair, or do you want to be Grizzly Adams? That's going to be entirely up to you. Number 2, Arthur can shave at his tent, going clean shaving, keeping a full beard and anything in between. He can trim the different areas of his face, chin, cheeks, sideburns, so they're short, medium, or long. So you're going to be able to decide how your facial hair looks. You just want to be clean shaven? That's fine. You want a mustache or a goatee or an Abe Lincoln look? Good for you. Just whatever you want to do, go for it. But it will take time for you to grow out your facial hair in order to craft the particular style that you want. Number 3, to change his hairstyle, Arthur will need to visit a barber in town. So while you can shave your face and trim your facial hair, Arthur apparently doesn't have the barber skills to cut his own hair, or anyone else in camp for that matter, so he actually has to go to a barber in order to do that. Number 4, if you don't eat and rest, Arthur will suffer from fatigue. So eating and resting will be factors in Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully it won't be overbearing like in some of these survival games like Ark, where you have to eat all the freaking time. That would be really annoying. So hopefully it's not as much, but you still have to eat and sleep and rest, or it won't be so good for poor Arthur. Number 5, Arthur will visibly lose or gain weight depending on how much food he eats. So this is very similar with CJ in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. As some of you know, CJ had the ability to look normal or else put on some muscle by working out in the gym all the time and building up his stamina and strength, or he could end up, being slightly obese. And that's a feature that Rockstar's carrying over to Red Dead Redemption 2 concerning Arthur. So you'll be able to, I guess, craft Arthur to look the way you want him to look. Whether you want him like muscular as hell, or fat, or maybe even a little skinnier. I guess that's going to be depending on how little or how much you feed him. Number 6, bodies of downed enemies are marked as a small X on the minimap, so you can go back and loot their corpses. This was the same thing in Red Dead Redemption. I'm glad they kept that for Red Dead Redemption 2. It made it a lot easier to find downed enemies after a firefight, and it would indicate like which guys you've not looted yet, because looting was kind of a thing in Red Dead Redemption. It's going to be also an issue, something you're going to want to do in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I like the fact that the small X's are going to be back on the minimap. Number 7, killed animals are marked with paw prints on the minimap. So there's now a difference between killed animals and killed enemies. Whereas in Red Dead Redemption, everything was just an X, whether it was an animal that you were going to skin or someone you have yet to loot. So there will be a difference. So you'll know, okay, I just killed that cougar. That's a paw print. I just killed that dude. It's an X. Number 8, fellow gang members will also loot down bodies. So move fast or they'll bogart all the extra cash and ammo. John, stop it, John. That's mine. Stop looting. Yeah, I'm going to be freaking bum rushing that shit. All the loots will be mine. Number 9, if you lose a hat or weapon, it will reappear on your horse's saddle. If you lose a saddle, it will reappear at the stable. So stable's obviously going to be a thing. Number 10, if you lose your hat, it will also appear as an icon on the minimap. So if your hat falls off, You can find it on the minimap. I guess it'll be a little hat, so you can run over and grab your hat. But the good news is, if you lose it, you don't lose it forever. It'll just magically end up back on your horse's saddle. Number 11, you can wear animal carcasses as a hat. Oh, so you can be like Davy Crockett and have a raccoon hat? That'd be kind of sweet. Number 12, outfits are customizable to an insane degree. You can choose to have your pants tucked into your boot or not, or sleeves rolled up or down, for instance. I hope that we're able to do this to a certain degree in Red Dead Online. I doubt it, but hopefully there will be a lot of customization abilities for our character in Red Dead Online. Hopefully. Number 13, weapons get dirty and clogged over time, or if you get them wet, so you'll need to clean them to get the best performance. And that was something I did read about in another article, is that you want to take really good care of your weapons because their stats will go down if they're not in the best condition. So taking care of your weapons is going to be very important in Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 14, your horse will get covered in mud over time, which slows it down, and it will need grooming, though a horse can be cleaned by riding through the body of water or a rainstorm. So same thing with the weapons. You got to take care of your horse. Your horse is very important. You got to groom it. You got to feed it. You got to pet it. You got to grow that bond between you and your horse. And in order for it to have better stamina, in order to run faster, it's got to be clean. So that's definitely a factor that's going to be important in the game. Number 15, Arthur's comments while grooming or soothing his horse will change depending on the sex of a horse. So if he has a stallion, he'll be like, "Hey boy, how you doing? Good boy, good boy." If he has a mare, he's probably gonna be like, "Oh, good girl, very good girl." So yes, obviously there are male and female horses in the game, and he'll react to them accordingly. Number 16, Arthur is covered in mud or blood. The reaction you'll get from those around you will be different than if he were clean. So yes, Arthur's going to have to clean himself up in order to go into nicer places. And you probably want to do that anyways because he'll probably start to smell. And like it says, everyone around you will react accordingly depending on how clean or how dirty Arthur happens to be. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there that aren't going to give a shit, and just for fun, they're going to see how muddy and how bloodied up that Arthur can get. Number 17, snow on Arthur's clothing will eventually melt, mud will harden and wipe away, blood will dry. So I love that. That's awesome. Adds a lot of realism to the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. 18, if you hold the trackpad to turn on the cinematic camera, you can set a waypoint and hold X, and your horse will automatically make its way to the destination, or you can move around on your own accord. That's very similar to how Zelda Breath of the Wild was with the horse. As Link, you had the ability to like pinpoint a location, and your horse would go on its own. You could ride the horse, obviously, and you wouldn't have to mess with it. Just watch out for enemies coming after you. Or you could just do it manually. So you'll have the ability for the horse to go into autopilot mode if you want, or if you prefer, you could simply just do it yourself. It'll be very handy if you're riding around, you go into autopilot mode whenever you see enemies coming towards you. So while the horse is moving towards that direction, you can focus your efforts on simply taking out enemy NPCs. Number 19, you can switch your camera angles while in cinematic view. And I hear that cinematic view is going to be really good in Red Dead Redemption 2. I love it in Grand Theft Auto Online and Grand Theft Auto 5. Sometimes it doesn't work so well, but I do like the ability to switch the camera angles while in cinematic view. Number 20, if you're riding with other gang members, holding X in cinematic mode ensures you ride as a pack at the same pace as them. That is going to be very important. It's going to look really cool, too, to make sure everyone's riding together and not spreading out like idiots. And it probably looks more intimidating as well. So definitely something to bear in mind whenever you're riding with your crew. And holding X, I guess this is maybe on the PS4 controller as opposed to the Xbox One. So I think that would probably be A, I believe. I could be wrong about that. I know there's an X button on the Xbox One, but it's in a different place than the X on the PS4. Number 21, you can choose what position you ride when you're in the group. So you can take point, you can be in the back, you can be in the middle. It just depends on where you prefer being. Number 22, Dutch rides on an albino horse with blue eyes. Cool. 23, composer Woody Jackson returns to create the music for Red Dead Redemption 2. By the way, he was the composer of Red Dead Redemption. That's awesome to have him back. There are also 192 separate pieces of score, not including ambient themes. Oh, that's going to be awesome, because the music in Red Dead Redemption was great. Number 24, Arthur's Deadeye skill develops as he'll be able to target critical hit areas such as enemy vital organs. This is also useful for getting clean kills when hunting. Number 25, tap R2 to rapidly fire from the hip, which proves handy if you're ambushed. Number 26, double tap L1. Arthur puts his gun away with a flourish. Number 27, hold up on the D-pad while aiming and Arthur will fire a warning shot in the air, which can be used to attract the attention of other characters or startle an animal he's hunting. Number 28, Arthur dynamically shields his eyes before dynamite goes off, which makes absolute sense because if you're setting off some dynamite, you know it's about to explode, you want to protect your eyes. Number 29, horse poop. Yep, there's gonna be horse poop in Red Dead Redemption 2. The level of detail and realism that Rockstar has gone through for this game just boggles the mind. Number 30, the entire game can be played in first-person mode. This is something a lot of us believed that we were going to be able to do, and it's now officially confirmed. You can play the game in third or first person entirely, and maybe there's some times where you just want to go into first person whenever you're just looking at a view of the mountains and the valley. Number 31, the HUD is customizable so you can remove the minimap and other on-screen cues if you desire. Number 32, pause the game or press down on the D-pad and the current time and temperature is displayed. Number 33, Arthur can swim, but not very well. So at least it's not an instant death like with John. See, John Marston, he can't swim. And I'm sure they'll explain that in Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm sure there'll be a running joke about it. Damn, John, you can't swim worth a damn, can you? Maybe there'll be a scene where you actually have to save John from drowning in a lake or maybe drowning in a little body of water that most people would have been okay going into. You know, just a little joke, an Easter egg regarding how many times you easily died in water in Red Dead Redemption. Number 34, there's lots of weapon crafting options. So, see, there's Molotovs known as fire bottles. Let's see, split point bullets, improved ammo for guns, as well as improved fire, small game arrows for a bow. So that's really cool. A lot of options that we're going to have when it comes to weapons. Number 35, you can customize weapons at a gunsmith. Upgrades include longer and rifle barrels or improved iron sights. Plus, you can add etchings and engraving to both metal casings and handle of a weapon. Number 36, items can be purchased at general stores by walking around and picking them up off shelves, but there's also a catalog there as well, a Sears Roebuck-esque catalog that sits on the counter. You can zoom in on every article full page and read it. The Gunsmith also has one of these with hundreds of words written about every item. Yeah, I think I'll just glance over that because we'd probably be there all day. Number 37, visit the stables to customize your horse, switching out saddle, blanket, stirrups, reins, saddle horn. You can also change the style of its mane, tail, making it short, medium, or long, adding braids, or even changing to dreadlocks. Number 38, you can store horses in stables in case you need a backup horse because number 39, if your horse dies, it's gone. And they're not like cars in Grand Theft Auto 5 that can be resurrected via an insurance claim. I hope that's not the case in Red Dead Online. I know, some people probably would prefer it that way. But if I lose a horse in Red Dead Online, hopefully I have some sort of insurance or deed that I can simply just get another version of that horse. But this is specifically for Red Dead Redemption 2. Moving over to page 2, number 40, you can tell your horse to flee when it's in a precarious situation to try and spare its life. So that might be a good idea in firefights or whenever there's a dangerous animal around and you don't want it mauled to death by a bear. Yeah. Number 41, your choice of clothing has an impact on the game. You'll need to wrap up warm when the temperature drops and shed layers when it gets unbearably hot. So once again, that's the reason why in the pause menu, not only is there the time, there's also going to be the temperature, so you know whether or not Arthur needs to throw on a jacket or shed some clothing, because if it gets too hot, it's going to have a negative effect on Arthur. And it's quite possible that if he doesn't have enough clothing on while up in the Grizzlies, he could very well freeze to death. Number 42, loot that Arthur discovers will sometimes be split between him and the camp. Boo. Number 43, a red wanted bar flashes on the screen when you attract the attention of Law. The color drains away as the heat dies down. Number 44, putting on a bandana during a crime, then taking it off afterwards provides a 1 meter drop faster. providing you're out of the search radius. 45, you can pay off your own bounties by visiting the nearest post office during the day. Number 46, there's a Victrola at camp, and certain NPC companions will serenade you with song. Some of you are probably wondering, GeauxBurns, what's a Victrola? Well, technically, it's a gramophone. So I guess some people call a gramophone a Victrola, and some people call a gramophone a gramophone. It was quite popular back in the day before record players. It's kind of a, well, technically it is a record player, but they kind of improved LPs since the times of the gramophones, the big horn and whatnot. So anyways, yeah, Victrola, gramophone, same thing. Number 47, NPCs all have individual facial animations, and the AI's reaction to Arthur's behavior will be more nuanced than the fight or flight mentality of Grand Theft Auto V's pedestrians. Number 48, the Wild West isn't a period known for great dental hygiene, and the denizens of Red Dead will reflect that. Ew. Number 49, if you leave bodies of animals where you killed them, they will attract scavengers. Carcasses will decompose over time. Number 50, possums play possum. In other words, they pretend to be dead when threats, including Arthur, are nearby. 51. If you get a bounty on your head in a town and then clear your name by paying the said bounty, the townspeople will still remember any trouble you caused and comment on it when you return. Number 52. If a thunderstorm strikes, your horse will be visibly agitated, which wouldn't make sense because in real life, the same thing would happen to your horse. Number 53. The bond with your horse is important. Increasing the bond of your horse unlocks tricks such as rearing, skid turns, and dressage. And at least number 54, the stronger the bond with your horse, less skittish it will be in high stress scenarios such as a gunfight or under the threat from a buyer. Number 55, if you haven't gotten a good relationship with a horse, watch out when walking behind them. They're likely to kick. Number 56, you can buy tickets to ride trains from the post office. Riding the train is a form of fast travel, so fast travel is confirmed in the map of Red Dead Redemption 2, similar to Red Dead Redemption, but you'll leave your horse behind. That kind of sucks. I wish they had the ability for you to simply put your horse up on the train, because they did have that back in the day, because people traveled across the country, via train, but they also like to take their horse with them, and there were definitely cars dedicated to, carrying people's horses. Hopefully you don't lose the horse completely, especially one that you've actually bonded with. Number 57, then again, you can also hijack and drive trains by galloping alongside them and jumping aboard. So yeah, you're going to be able to actually jump on a train, go inside, rob people, and you'll be able to get into the engine itself and drive it. You can slow it down, you can speed it up. It's going to be interesting to see how that transpires. Are you going to be able to actually derail trains in Red Dead Redemption 2? That would be so cool if you could. 58. If you shoot an animal with a bullet rather than an arrow, it'll fetch a lower price at the town butcher than a clean kill. Another thing that most of us already knew about. 59. As you skin an animal, you can see where the exit wounds are. And from what I read, skinning animals in this game is going to be a lot more graphic than in Red Dead Redemption. So just be prepared for that. Number 60, Arthur's jacket will be left bloodied if he carries a skinned animal on his shoulders, and your horse's rear will be smeared with blood too after delivering your kills to the butcher. So you'll probably want to clean your horse after you're done with that, and probably clean your jacket as well. 61, Arthur can look at his reflection in the mirror and will comment on what he sees. 62, you can buy newspapers which cover events that occurred throughout the story. Number 63, that's right, we're only at 63. The game is packed with subtle visual effects like heat haze from a pair of gilding tongs causing the character standing behind it to shimmer, condensation from the breaths of humans and horses in the snow, to the soft glow of superheated bullet impacts from lead slamming against an armored train carriage. Number 64, snow indents and shapes dynamically across your and everyone else's steps, including horses. Horses with larger legs and hooves will leave wider trails than skinnier-legged horses. 65, snow will accumulate naturally in places that have been trotted over. Snow will also fall off trees. 66, Arthur has dirt under his fingernails. Dude, you gotta clean that up, man. Clean up them fingernails. Number 67, you can pat dogs. Those dogs won't bark at you again if you see them. 68, some missions will take you far up into the mountains where you are literally above the cloud line, aka the game's weather system. So the mountains in the game, including Mount Hagen, yeah, pretty freaking tall. and it's going to be amazing to look at the entire map from that point of view, especially when hopefully it's on a clear day, when there isn't any cloud coverage and you can just see how far the map really goes. 69, health and stamina bars have an inner core that determines how fast your bar refills. So your health will be able to regen, but you're also going to have to feed and rest Arthur as well. Number 70, you can shoot someone's hat off and then steal it. Enemies can also shoot your hat off. So if you see someone like with a really sweet top hat and you want it, or a sweet cowboy hat, you can say, hey, I want that hat. Shoot the hat off and take the hat. It's yours now. Mine! Number 71, kill cams are impacted by your honor. If you play honorably, the camera on the kill replay will focus on Arthur. If you're dishonorable, it'll focus on the kill and represent it in a more intense way. The less honor you have, the less visible Arthur will be in the background view of the camera. Number 72, the honor system is intricate to the most obvious. Honorable versus dishonorable choice won't always be apparent. Killing a Driscoll, one of the rival gang members, won't be considered dishonorable, but if you escalate the conversation before killing them, it will be. So if you just show up and just kill the rival gang members, that's okay. But if you have a conversation with them and it goes dark, intimidating, and mean, and nasty, and then you kill them, then it becomes dishonorable. Number 73, Arthur physically moves dead bodies and reaches into their pockets to loot them. Number 74, an eagle eye system is used to track and hunt the animals. Activating it will also show the scent coming off your body, which animals can catch wind to track you. Number 75, yes, we're almost near the end, hooray! Moving your cursor around the world map involves a wind sound to indicate your movement. Interesting. 76, you can shoot a horse to knock an enemy off its back. Number 77, thanks to the fact the game is set before a time light pollution became an issue, the sky is riddled with stars and clusters of stars. It looks like a genuine array of galaxies when you look up at night. And we saw that in the very first trailer that came out, 2 years ago? It looked absolutely gorgeous at night. 78, your camp runs on a schedule. In the morning, your gang members might walk out of their tents and their long johns. People will sleep at night and gather around for food calls. And finally, 79, just like with strangers you meet around the world, you can antagonize your own crew members at camp, but if you do, other camp members will take notice and comment on it in the future. Real quick before we wrap up regarding the camp, you will be able to customize and upgrade your camp along with Arthur's tent as well. I read that in a different article. Just wanted to mention that real quick. So there will be a degree of camp customization. So there you go, 79 details regarding Red Dead Redemption 2, some of which we knew about. A lot of it is new information to us. Like I said, we got info overload today, several articles out there from IGN, GameSpot, Verge, VG247, Polygon, etc. And it's very possible that in this video I didn't even scratch the surface when it came to the information that came out today. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, the screenshots, as well as 79 amazing little details in Red Dead Redemption 2, courtesy of IGN. Both the articles linked below in the description section. Let me know below in the comment section, how hyped are you now for this game, only a month away? And if I missed anything at all that came out today, feel free and leave that below in the comment section. For more Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online coverage, you've come to the right place. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and join the GeauxBurns Nation.